Lin Yan is the daughter of the heiress of the Lin Corporation. After her father passed away on her wedding day, Yan discovered that her future husband Wan was having an affair with her own best friend, Lily. The incident made them quarrel and Yan accidentally fell from the balcony, and made Yan comatose for 3 years. After waking up, Yan found out that all of her wealth assets as well as her company were controlled by Wan. Yan is determined to take revenge and reclaim her property. To launch her plan, she is assisted by Xiao Mo, his father's former bodyguard who was fired by Lin Yan at the behest of her future husband. They make a deal and work together, which makes the seeds of love gradually grow between them, until Xiao Mo's true identity is revealed. How Yan takes revenge and who Xiao Mo really is, to find out, let's move on to the storyline. After 3 years in a coma, Yan finally woke up. Hearing the sound of footsteps heading towards her room, Yan was frightened and ran away. The man turned out to be Xiao Mo. Yan continued to run and stopped a passing car for help. Instead of helping, the man choked Yan. Luckily Xiao Mo came at the right time. Xiao Mo, who was good at martial arts, easily defeated the man who tried to hurt Lin Yan. Lin Yan, who didn't know where she was, tried to stab Xiao Mo, but luckily Xiao Mo realized where she was. Flashback 3 years earlier. While Lin Yan and Wan were doing a training session for their wedding, in the middle of the session Lily came acting like a good friend and caring for Yan. After the training session was over, Wan met Lily to warn her. Wan doesn't want them to be caught having an affair before he gets a wealthy asset from Yan. But Lily teases Wan instead. For her, the more dangerous, the more challenging it is to do. In the dressing room, Yan received a message from Lily who wanted to give her a gift. Yan also received a hotel room key, so she headed for the room. Yan unexpectedly found her future husband and her best friend Lily making out intimately. Wan tried to explain, but Yan didn't want to hear anything else. Lily's arrival made Yan even more emotional. Lily, who did not accept, accidentally pushed Yan to the ground. Wan tried to help Yan, but after Lily said just let Yan fall. After all, she already knew the secret of the two of them. In the end, Wan and Lily were able to cover up the real incident, so Yan was declared to have had an accident when they were doing a photo session on the roof of the building. The head injury suffered made Yan declared comatose. The opportunity was taken by Wan as one of the people close to Yan before the coma, to take over all of Yan's assets one by one, accompanied by Lily. Although she has settled in the Lin Yan residence, Lily is still not satisfied until her relationship with Wan is openly announced. However, Wan is still reluctant to reveal their relationship because Yan is still around despite being in a coma. Lily, who did not want Yan to continue to be an obstacle to having Wan completely, called her messenger to kill Yan as soon as possible. After feeling better, Lin Yan wants to return to the Lin family home and take over everything that belongs to her. Xiao Mo says that it won't be easy since Wan has already taken over almost all of the Lin family's assets. Even now Wan and Lily are living in the Lin residence. Afterward, Xiao Mo offered his help to Yan, but Yan refused and asked to be escorted back to her residence. In the middle of the press conference that Wan was attending, Yan arrived suddenly. Wan and Lily, who saw Yan's arrival, were very surprised, but after Yan pretended not to remember some events in her past, Wan was instantly relieved that Goddess Fortune was on his side. Yan told Wan that she was tired and wanted to go back to her house. Wan immediately gave Lily the code to clean up all her belongings, while he tried to buy time by saying Lin's residence had been abandoned for a long time and had to be cleaned first. Yan said it was okay because they would clean it together. Wan could no longer dodge. Yan's pretense of memory loss made Wan and Lily struggling to cover up their relationship, which Yan actually knew very clearly. Even the incident 3 years ago is still very clear in her memory. Yan finally determined to take revenge and repay all the deeds of the two of them tenfold with what they did. Elsewhere, Wan meets a doctor to question why Yan can only forget some events. The doctor explains that such events are common in patients who have been in a coma. The doctor also said that if there is stimulation of an event, the patient will feel an extreme headache, or it could be that her memory will recover. At the same time, Wan received a message that made him surprised and immediately left. At the Lin family residence, Lily came to take Yan out for a walk so that her condition would improve, but Lily instead took Yan to the hotel to remind Yan of the incident 3 years ago. It triggered Yan's anger towards Lily. Wan questioned what happened. Yan again pretended that she couldn't remember everything. She only remembered when Lily asked her to the room, but after that she didn't remember anything else. Juan, who also remembered the doctor's words earlier, tried to make Yan calm down and not have to think about anything that would trigger pain in her head. Juan was very angry with Lily after knowing that the incident 3 years ago was caused by her. Even now Lily wanted to mess it up again. Lily said Yan was just pretending to have amnesia, but Juan ignored her. That day Xiaomo's subordinates told Xiaomo the agenda that Xiaomo would be working on, but Xiaomo instead cancelled all his agenda and met Lin Yan. Xiaomo again offers his help, but Yan is still reluctant to accept it, especially after knowing the conditions that Xiaomo proposes are half the shares of Lin's group. Yan returns to her home and is about to start her first step, which is to reclaim her position in the office. At the same time, Juan comes to give her a surprise and also brings a new maid especially for Lin Yan. Knowing that the maid was the nurse who had taken care of her in the hospital, Yan remembered the incident at the hospital. Even though she was in a coma, she could feel what the people around her were doing to her. Shortly after Juan left, Yan taught the waitress a lesson until she confessed everything. Yan said she could also give even more money from Lily as long as the waitress would follow her orders and tell her what Juan had said before. Juan, who received a call from Yan, rushed back. There Yan said the waitress had told everything. Juan and Lily had a relationship, so she called them to find out the truth. They immediately denied any relationship. Even Lily immediately hit the waitress and kicked her out. After that, Lily explained everything and said how could she be instigated by someone she knew better than her own best friend. Yan continued, she wanted to return to the office because she knew that Juan and Lily were often together. She didn't want the employees to gossip about them. With her presence in the office, the gossip between Lily and Juan would soon disappear. In the car, Lily argues with Juan over Juan's decision to bring Yan to the office, while Yan, who is now in the office, feels happy because her first plan has succeeded. However, after attending the meeting, Yan just realized why Juan let her back so easily. It was because Juan knew that the higher-ups in the office would reject Yan's arrival if she did not want to follow their wishes, which in the end Yan realized that reclaiming her position was not as easy as she thought. When in the parking lot, Yan did not realize that several men had followed her. Fortunately, Xiaomo returned at the right time. After putting Yan in the car and turning on the music for Yan, Xiaomo returned and beat Lin's 3 men to a pulp, after which Xiaomo met Lily to warn her not to hurt Lin Yan anymore. Yan woke up while Xiaomo was in a meeting with his subordinates. All eyes immediately fell on the beautiful Lin Yan who was there. After ordering his subordinates to blindfold, Xiaomo immediately covered Yan's legs, and then carried her away. Xiaomo's subordinates then gossiped about who the woman was with Xiaomo's brother, because to their knowledge, Xiaomo had never glanced at any woman, so they guessed that it would be their sister-in-law. Xiaomo tells Yan that he was the one who helped Yan the night before, and Yan vaguely remembers that night. Xiaomo approached Yan to question whether Yan was curious about who had changed her clothes. Yan did not want to know that at all and changed the subject. Yan questioned Xiaomo's occupation. After finding out what his occupation was and feeling that Xiaomo was not a bad person after helping her several times, Yan was willing to accept Xiaomo's previous offer. However, she couldn't give him any of her assets, only 15%, and that was after she took over all of her property. That's all Yan can offer, and she even adds a condition: Xiaomo must protect her just like Xiaomo protected her father before. Xiaomo says so. Yan wants him by her side for 24 hours. Xiaomo's subordinate comes in and tells him something. It turns out that Lily came to question Xiaomo's willingness to be her personal bodyguard. No kidding, if Xiaomo agrees to it, all the assets she has will belong to Xiaomo, and she has even brought a transfer agreement. Xiaomo approached Yan and told her that Yan's previous offer was very small compared to Lily, but Xiaomo was willing to help Yan if Yan would grant him one wish in the future. Without knowing what Xiaomo wanted, Yan agreed after seeing Lily's persistence to make Xiaomo her bodyguard. Xiaomo also asked Yan for a small favor, and again Yan thoughtlessly agreed, after which Xiaomo told Lily that he would only be Yan's bodyguard. Hearing Xiaomo's words, Lily immediately left them. At the office, Juan received a message showing Yan close to a man. Juan immediately followed Lin Yan. Juan said that although he didn't like Lin Yan, he also didn't want her to be cheated on with another man, so Juan wanted to hit the man who was with Lin Yan, but instead Juan was beaten. Juan questions why Yan is with Xiaomo. Yan honestly says lately there are people who have bad intentions towards her, so she is looking for a personal bodyguard to protect her. Juan said he could also find a personal bodyguard for Yan. as long as it wasn't Xiaomo, because he thought Xiaomo was a bad person.
对你有信心啊，我对他吧。
你怎么知道我们在这儿啊？
Wan again blamed Lily for Yan's closeness with Xiaomo. Wan said that if Lily hadn't made trouble, Yan wouldn't have hired Xiaomo back. Wan also told Xiaomo that he was not an arbitrary person. He graduated from a prestigious university and was even rumored to have killed many people. Hearing this, Lily became frightened after knowing who Xiaomo really was.
表面上长得人模狗样，
关键是他对林岩是一直念念不忘，指不定又出什么岔子。
Yan finally returned to the company accompanied by Xiaomo. In the meeting this time Yan was able to turn things around with the help of Xiaomo. Yan said someone should be responsible and fired immediately. However, Yan's uncle, who did not want to be blamed, brought Wan's name as the person in charge, while Wan instead brought up Lily's name. Wan continued to persuade Lily to replace him. After learning that Yan was coming, Wan slapped Lily so as not to be caught. Yan pretended to defend Lily and was saddened by her dismissal, which she couldn't help but do so that no one would make mistakes in the future. Finally, Yan was accepted back into the company as president-director of the Lin Group. Wan couldn't figure out why Yan could realize about the problems that existed in the land project that the Lin Group wanted to buy. After thinking for a moment, Wan said he had to marry Yan immediately before Yan remembered everything, while Lily did not agree if they got married, but Lily could not argue with Wan. Shortly thereafter, Yan called and asked Wan's whereabouts. Wan said he was working overtime. What a coincidence, Yan said, because she would be there to bring dinner for Wan.
辛苦了。
我衣服呢？
不是马上就你内裤没穿。
Xiaomo, who knew Wan would not remain silent after what had happened, then gave a gift to Yan. Yan initially refused, but after Xiaomo said Yan had to accept the siren device so that wherever Yan was, he could track her and would soon appear, Yan finally accepted the gift. Sure enough, as Yan struggled to recover and sprained her leg, Xiaomo immediately received the signal connected to his watch and rushed to Linyan. Seeing the wound on Xiaomo's body, Yan questioned, but Xiaomo did not answer her seriously.
我是009。
Not only helping Yan, Xiaomo volunteered to cook for Yan and treated her very well. Yan says cooking is not part of Xiaomo's job. Yan continues she knows Xiaomo's intentions, but they must maintain a pure cooperative relationship between them. Xiaomo says, does he look like that, or does Yan feel that way? Hearing Xiaomo's words, Yan hurries away. Xiaomo murmurs whether Yan already knows his other intentions, and did he show it so clearly, while Yan tries to dismiss what's on her mind, not to trust any man easily. Wan called and questioned Yan's whereabouts. Yan said she was not feeling well, so he cancelled the trip. Wan can no longer remain silent and must immediately propose to Yan again. The next morning, Wan forces Lily to go on vacation so that he can start his plan. Xiaomo meets Yan to tell Wan that he has taken over most of Lin's group assets, and he did it without breaking any laws. Xiaomo also tells Wan that he has taken Lily to go on vacation. At the same time Wan arrives, Wan shows a photo that they had taken 3 years ago. Wan said that if they had gotten married back then, he would now be called dad, so he had decided to marry Yan in 3 months. Yan took advantage of what Wan said earlier, and asked that they go on a vacation to strengthen the relationship between them. After Wan agreed, Yan added that herself would choose the place. Wan just needed to follow her. Wan was happy because he felt that Lily would not bother him this time. Without him knowing, Yan took him to the same hotel that Lily was staying in. Wan was very surprised to find out they were in the same hotel as Lily. Because Lin Yan did not want to change hotels, Wan had to try to keep the two women from seeing each other. A moment later, Xiaomo came to escort Yan to her room. Xiaomo forbade Wan to enter because he had booked a room for him too, while pointing to the far end of the room.
回头找你算账。
Yan received a message from Wan to come down immediately, because he had a special gift to give. At first Yan was surprised to see Wan so serious, but suddenly Wan was acting strange. Yan had to be happy and praised Wan's actions. Yan invited Wan to capture their moment, after which Yan uploaded it on social media. Lily, who saw Yan's post, began to bother Wan. Lily even threatened Wan to meet them if he didn't meet her soon. Wan immediately ran to meet Lily. After meeting, Yan also called him to come back soon. Wan ran back downstairs to meet Linyan. Lily threatened again, so Wan again pretended to call and hurried to see Lily. Unexpectedly, Yan even came to Wan's room to meet him. Wan threatened Lily so as not to be seen by Yan. Wan is looking for an excuse to leave the room immediately, while Yan also makes excuses so that she can stay in the room. Knowing Lily in the bathtub, Yan deliberately lingered to play with her. The incident made Lily weak because she drank too much soap. Wan immediately carried her to the hospital. Yan, who saw it, smiled with satisfaction. Xiaomo approached Yan with a flat face. Apparently Xiaomo saw Yan's post and didn't like Yan letting Wan kiss her. Yan casually said that the kiss was part of her revenge and it didn't matter to her. Xiaomo then asked, so it's okay for Yan to be kissed by anyone? After saying that, Xiaomo approached her and gave Yan a kiss. Yan was surprised by what Xiaomo did and tried to break away. She even slapped Xiaomo and warned him not to cross the line and not to interfere in her personal affairs. Wan wanted to spend the night with Yan. Even though Yan said she was on her period, Wan still insisted on Yan. Xiaomo, who received a danger signal after Yan's bracelet was held by Wan, immediately came and hit Wan. Wan warns Xiaomo not to bother his girlfriend. Xiaomo also says not to do that again to Yan, because he likes her. Meanwhile, Yan thought about Wan's actions and what Xiaomo did in the lobby, so she wanted to see Xiaomo, but he was met at the door. Yan questioned why Xiaomo was at her door. Xiaomo said he was a bodyguard, it was his job to look after Yan. After that, Xiaomo apologized for being negligent when guarding Yan, so Wan behaved like that to her. Xiaomo continued, next time he will not let anyone get close to Yan, even himself, who is so outrageous to force his wishes on Yan. Therefore he will wait until Yan is willing, but Yan wants Xiaomo to pretend to chase her so that Wan will no longer force her to marry. Xiaomo is happy and hopes Yan will not regret her request because he will act very naturally. In the morning, Wan meets Lin Yan and says Xiaomo has bad intentions, so he doesn't want Xiaomo to be Yan's bodyguard anymore. Even he has brought a new bodyguard for Yan, who is not only one, but there are several with different abilities. Without Wan knowing, they were all Xiaomo's subordinates. Xiaomo told his subordinates that he would look after Yan. Seeing Xiaomo's attention, Yan also seemed to like it, making Wan not want to lose. Wan took Yan to a boutique to try on some clothes. Unexpectedly, Xiaomo met the designer of all the dresses in the boutique. The man thought that Xiaomo was the groom-to-be. He didn't let Xiaomo say anything at all, and immediately dragged him to change his clothes. At the same time, Yan also arrived in a very beautiful dress. Everyone praised Yan and Xiaomo, who looked good together. Wan, who saw them, became upset and scolded the designer. On that occasion, Xiaomo said that before becoming husband and wife, anyone in this world has the right to own Yan, including himself. Xiaomo officially announced that he would pursue Lin Yan. Wan immediately asked Yan to choose between him or Xiaomo. Yan could not answer Wan's question and said she would go to the toilet. Suddenly her foot slipped. Xiaomo swiftly caught her. Everyone who saw Xiaomo's action was stunned. Not only that, Xiaomo also kissed Yan's lips. The designer, who was excited, asked the two of them to date. Yan again doesn't like Xiaomo's acting, which he thinks is too much, even crossing the line. If Xiaomo is still like that, Yan will fire Xiaomo and cancel the deal so that the shares she offered will no longer belong to Xiaomo. Xiaomo honestly said it wasn't the shares he wanted, but Yan didn't want to hear anything more from Xiaomo. Yan, who keeps thinking about Xiaomo, keeps walking without realizing that a car is passing by. Xiaomo again comes at the right time to save her. At home, Yan tries to take off Xiaomo's clothes to treat his wound, but Xiaomo thinks otherwise and feels that he's not ready yet. Seeing Xiaomo's wound, which he thought was so bad, Yan wanted to take him to the hospital, but Xiaomo refused, because the wound in his heart was worse than his current wound. Yan then thanked Xiaomo for always being there to protect her. Xiaomo felt that gratitude was not enough and wanted more. "Don't expect me not to give you," said Yan. Xiaomo found it strange that Yan rejected his wish without knowing what he wanted. Xiaomo sighed, making Yan wonder what the sigh meant. Xiaomo said he was thinking if the nutritional food he gave Yan wasn't enough. As a result, Yan didn't accept Xiaomo's words. Xiaomo wanted to ask something. Xiaomo said that when Yan was angry with him and wanted to keep his distance. What kind of distance did she mean? How far away did Yan mean? Xiaomo kept bringing his face closer and Yan thought otherwise and closed her eyes. Xiaomo just smiled and left. The next morning, Wan went to Yan's room to apologize. A maid came in saying the couple in the room had checked out a few hours ago. Upon arriving home, Yan said she wanted to eat meat stew. Xiaomo would cook while she helped him. Xiaomo said didn't Yan previously say that he was just a bodyguard, so he didn't need to cook for Yan anymore. Yan finally cooks by herself with her own skills. Hearing Yan scream, Xiaomo rushes to meet her. Xiaomo asked whether the incident was intentional or not. If it was intentional, Yan had set him up because now he was the one cooking, and if it was unintentional, it meant that Xiaomo would have 2 jobs because his boss was so stupid, he said with a joke. Seeing the stain near Yan's lips, Xiaomo wants to remove the stain, but his stroking is too romantic, so Yan again thinks that Xiaomo wants to kiss her. Feeling that Xiaomo had pranked her twice, Yan finally went to Xiaomo, who was drying her hair. Feeling Yan gave him the green light, Xiaomo pulled Yan. Just a few seconds ago someone rang the bell. It turned out that Wan came to surprise Yan. Wan was very surprised to see Xiaomo, who opened the door. Wan interrogated Yan, who she thought had cheated on him, but Yan dismissed the affair. Wan again asked Yan to choose between him or Xiaomo. Yan said, if you don't trust me anymore, then we should consider our relationship again. Xiaomo, who wants to rest, asks Wan to go home. Wan is annoyed and says this is the first time he has seen a shameless third person like Xiaomo. Wan approaches Lily in a drunken state and constantly talks about Yan in front of Lily. Elsewhere, Xiaomo returns to see Yan, who is in a bad mood after meeting Wan, while Xiaomo is in a passionate mood to continue what was previously delayed, but Yan refuses and asks Xiaomo to keep his boundaries. Even Yan asks Xiaomo to take a few days off.
他最关心的是怎么夺回灵石。
Lily gives Wan the understanding to stop the action, because what Wan has taken is enough for both of their futures. While Wan insists on having Lin's group and will marry Yan, Lily is upset with Wan's attitude of either wanting Lin's group or Yan Lin. Wan says he wants both, because Lily is not worthy of being his companion at all, so Wan asks Lily to stay calm and obey him so that she can still live like before. When Yan was exercising, someone followed and kidnapped her. Xiaomo's absence by Yan's side made Lily's subordinates easily kidnap her. Lily ordered them to harass Yan. Yan, who resisted, received a slap until she fell down. At the same time, Xiaomo came along with his subordinates. Xiaomo ordered his subordinates to immobilize them all, while he brought Yan back to his house because Yan was still traumatized. Yan didn't let Xiaomo leave and kissed his lips. When Xiaomo kissed back, Yan stopped him. Finally, Xiaomo chose to leave. He was afraid he couldn't contain his feelings, but Yan pulled him back and kissed his lips again. After a while, Xiaomo seemed to give a code to continue or not. Seeing Yan's nod, Xiaomo continued. The next morning, Yan woke up and found herself next to Xiaomo. Yan, who felt embarrassed, was about to pick up her clothes and leave. Xiaomo woke up and teased Yan about last night's incident. Don't you want to take responsibility? Xiaomo said, Yan innocently saying that she was actually the one who would be greatly harmed by the incident. Xiaomo receives a call from his subordinate. Xiaomo's subordinate, who hears a female voice, asks who it is. Xiaomo says he has a new pet. Not wanting to be called that, Yan protests and is heard by Xiaomo's subordinate, who then calls Yan his sister-in-law. At the office, Yan is surprised by Wan's proposal. Yan is forced to accept Wan's ring and flowers so as not to get caught, while Xiaomo is very upset because it means they will soon be married. Outside, Wan is again enamored with a new employee named Ru. Ru's innocence makes Wan feel challenged. Ru had refused Wan's invitation, but Wan threatened to use Ru's mother and would even fire her, so Ru could no longer refuse. Luckily, Yan found out about the incident and followed them. Yan approached Ru and invited her to work together. In a different place, Lily burned with jealousy seeing Wan's photo with Ru. When Wan was making out with Ru, Lily came to hit them, but Yan's presence behind Ru made Ru no longer afraid and resisted Lily's treatment of her. Yan questioned Wan's behavior and said she would forgive Wan as long as the woman he cheated on was not Lily. Suddenly, Lily came and told her about their affair. Yan pretended to be surprised and then approached Lily. Yan whispered that she knew everything. Unfortunately, Wan chose me instead of you. Finally, with Ru's help, Yan could have a reason not to marry Wan. Yan thanked Ru for her help and gave her leave to look after her mother until she fully recovered. Wan made a comeback by using the durian skin to apologize, hoping Yan would see his persistence. According to Wan, as someone who has a high position like him, he can hardly resist the temptation of the women around him. Yan confirms Wan's words and says it looks like she is the same way. Flashback a few years ago at Yan's graduation ceremony, when her father was still there. At that time, Yan introduced Wan as her boyfriend. Yan's father did not really like it because he felt Wan was not a good person. While Yan was so in love with Wan that she didn't see the bad in Wan, especially since Wan was always sweet to her, and in order to prove her father wrong in judging Wan, Yan was willing to leave home. Unexpectedly, it was the last time Yan met her father. Yan told Xiaomo how much she missed her father, to the point that when she was in a coma, She felt that her father was there to take care of her. Xiaomo tried to comfort Yan, who missed her father so much, by looking at shooting stars. Xiaomo took the initiative to gather his subordinates and set off fireworks to see Yan smile. On that occasion, Xiaomo shared his career journey, which led to him working at Lin's company. He had a new purpose in life when he entered Lin's company, because a woman had captured his heart even though she initially ignored him, but in the end he was given the opportunity to stand in front of her.
他的人肖莫，今年28岁。
Yan was very happy, but she couldn't accept Xiaomo until her revenge was avenged. Although visibly disappointed, Xiaomo was willing to wait until Yan was ready to accept him.
我可以等你。
Elsewhere, Lily, who has been dumped by Wan, can't use her credit card at all anymore. Yan arrives while giving Lily a credit card, so that Lily can repair her life and start all over again. Lily doesn't believe Yan sincerely wants to help her. Lily thinks Yan is bribing her to give evidence of Wan's crimes. Yan said she didn't want that at all. Her arrival was purely with good intentions. Unexpectedly, Lily said she would give the evidence to Yan. After receiving the evidence from Lily, Yan and Xiaomo worked hard to see the truth. When finished, Yan asked everyone to gather in the meeting room. Yan accused Wan of embezzling company money. Wan looks casual because it turns out that after Lily and Yan's meeting yesterday, Lily called Wan to tell him about her meeting with Yan. Lily is happy to be able to make Wan and Yan drop each other, while she will start a new life from the money given by Wan and Yan. Unexpectedly, Wan was very clever. As long as he embezzled the company's money, it was not him who signed but Lily. It turns out that in the last few days, Wan found out that Yan was only pretending to lose her memory in front of him, in order to get back the Lin group that he had controlled, but that was impossible. Once he stepped out of the Lin group and revealed what Lily had done, the Lin group would immediately collapse. But Yan was able to prevent this by dismissing Xiaomo as her subordinate. Not wanting to lose Lin's group, Yan chose to fire Xiaomo and said she had never loved him. On his way, Xiaomo had an accident. Yan received the news of the accident. She even thought Xiaomo was dead, especially when Xiaomo's body was completely covered in cloth.
谢谢，小莫，小莫。
After listening to the words of Yan, who is truly in love with Xiaomo, Xiaomo woke up asking if everything she said was true. Yan was a little upset, but Xiaomo really had an accident, only he didn't die, he only had bruises from being dragged by the motorcycle. Not wanting to miss the opportunity, Xiaomo quickly put a ring on Yan's finger. Even so, Xiaomo didn't want Yan to feel depressed and took the ring as a sign that Yan had been proposed to. Xiaomo didn't let that happen, so he gave her a kiss as a stamp of a sign that could not be cancelled at all. Xiaomo hoped that in the future, no matter what happened, Yan would allow him to stay by her side. Yan woke up again beside Xiaomo, who was still sound asleep. This time Yan did not run away again but praised Xiaomo's good looks, who was more beautiful than a woman. Yan thought about how blind she was to not notice Xiaomo's good looks at all. In the kitchen, Yan teases Xiaomo again. When Xiaomo teases her back to make up for the time lost between them, Yan leaves him. Yan accidentally sees a message on Xiaomo's cell phone. Xiaomo is asked to meet in the Ming group. At the office, Yan is told by her uncle that Wan will soon acquire shares in the company to become the highest shareholder. Not only that, the uncle also told Wan that he received a loan from the Lin group's archenemy, the Ming group, and now it was revealed that Xiaomo and Ming were tied together.
大股东的股份，他很快会成跟明德还有什么不为人知的那些。
Arriving home, Yan questions where Xiaomo went. Yan doesn't know why Xiaomo lied to her, because she had previously contacted his company and his subordinates said Xiaomo never came to the office in the past few days. At the same time, Wan arrives with a marriage certificate showing that Xiaomo is married. Xiaomo confirms that the person named Xiaomo is married while he is not Xiaomo. One truth Xiaomo revealed: Xiaomo's name is not his real name, he just borrowed the name in order to join Lin's company. Wan continues to provoke Yan into not believing Xiaomo, even though she has heard all of Xiaomo's story before. Yan wants to hear it again. But Xiaomo is still reluctant to tell everything. Yan is very sad, plus Wan wants to take over the Lin company that her father has worked so hard to build. In her sadness, Yan thinks of Xiaomo, who has always been by her side, but now he is gone. Suddenly Wan came. He thought Xiaomo had dumped Yan, so he came to offer to be his girlfriend again, but because Yan refused, Wan was rude to Yan. Someone called Wan and told him that the 5% share that he wanted to sell to Wan was cancelled. Not long after, Wan received another call saying that Mingde Group did not lend him money, even the money he had borrowed had to be returned as soon as possible. Juan continued to plead with the Ming group not to cancel his loan, until finally Juan was shocked to find out that the person he had been talking to was Xiaomo. Xiaomo said Juan had failed to buy the 5% stake he wanted, and according to the agreement, if Juan failed to buy the stake, then he would have to return the money he borrowed 3 times over. It turned out that Xiaomo was the son of the Ming group owner, and he told his father that he would return to the Ming group if his father could keep his promise not to interfere with Lin's group in the future. Juan, who has to pay interest to the Ming group, tries to find help, but no one wants to give him help. Even Yan doesn't want to see Juan anymore. At the same time, Yan finds out about the truth that Xiaomo is the son of the Ming group. After thinking for a while, Yan went to Xiaomo's company. His subordinates said that Xiaomo hadn't come to the office for a few days and thought that Xiaomo was with Yan. Sensing that they were arguing, Xiaomo's subordinate said that Xiaomo was a good man as he showed Yan the files that Xiaomo had collected for 3 years. After seeing everything, Yan realized that Xiaomo had been the one beside her all along. Yan regretted kicking Xiaomo out and didn't want to believe him at that time. When Yan tried to call Xiaomo, Juan gagged her unconscious and then threw away the bracelet connecting Yan and Xiaomo. Xiaomo's subordinates come to tell him that Yan is in danger. At the same time, Juan calls asking for ransom money and forbidding Xiaomo to report to the police if he wants Lin Yan to be safe, not forgetting that Juan said he must come himself if he wants to save Yan. Xiaomo keeps his promise and comes himself while Juan doesn't want to give Yan away. Seeing that his men were almost all down, Juan used Yan as his shield. Xiaomo, who didn't want Yan to get hurt, was willing to be beaten to a pulp. Seeing that Xiaomo could still get up, Juan, who was about to hit Xiaomo, was blocked by Yan. At the same time, Xiaomo's subordinates came. Juan, who felt he had lost, chose to run away. Unexpectedly, a car was waiting for Juan's arrival. The car drove quickly towards him. Juan bounced very far and soon a woman came out of the car who was none other than Lily. After regaining consciousness, Yan found out that Juan was in a coma after being hit by Lily, who was in an unstable mental state. After that, Xiaomo told Lin Yan everything she wanted to know, then said goodbye to return to the Ming group because he had fulfilled his promise to Mr. Lin, and had helped Yan reclaim her company. Even when Yan professed her love and couldn't live without Xiaomo, Xiaomo still left her because of the promise he had made with his father. A few days passed and Yan was still thinking about Xiaomo. Suddenly her uncle came with the news that Xiaomo was getting married. Without thinking, Yan came in a wedding dress and expressed her disapproval of the marriage. After expressing her feelings, Yan apologized and then proposed to Xiaomo as Xiaomo had done to her. She would also wait until Xiaomo would accept her, and in the end Xiaomo put the ring back on Yan's finger, and this Chinese drama ends. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Thank you. Story begins by showing a woman named Suli who works as a famous writer, and is holding a press conference to introduce prospective actors and actresses who will play the drama from her novel. The main actor in this drama is played by her own husband, who has been married to her for 3 years, named Zhang Shuang. Their relationship looks intimate and harmonious, but without realizing that one of them is having an affair. After the actor's introduction press conference, Shuang, who was waiting for Suli in the room, was surprised, because suddenly the main actress in this drama came to tempt him to have an affair. Shuang tried to avoid physical contact with this woman until Suli came and saw her. Suli did not remain silent and slapped the woman and even crossed her out of the list of actresses in her drama. Suli then contacted her investors to postpone the shooting schedule because she had to find a replacement for the main actress in this drama. At home, Shuang is very attentive and affectionate to Suli, and he even always cooks for his wife, but because he wants to make out, Shuang postpones his cooking and goes into the room with Suli. In the middle of the night, Suli, who woke up, caught a glimpse of her husband's cell phone, which was lit up, indicating an incoming message, but she didn't really care about it. The next day at breakfast, Suli, who suspected that her husband had a mistress, asked about who sent the message in the middle of the night. Shuang, who did not want Suli to be suspicious, showed the contents of last night's message from Mr. Wu, a businessman who was quite close to him. Suli was no longer suspicious after being shown proof of the message by Shuang about last night's message, but when she tidied up her husband's dirty pants, she saw evidence of the purchase of Dior shoes that were larger than the size of her feet, so Suli's suspicions of Shuang reappeared and believed that her husband was having an affair. Then during the casting at her office to find the main actress of the drama, Suli was visited by Shuang, who introduced one of the female actresses from his management, who knew it was suitable to be a partner in this drama. Suli initially suspected that this woman might be Suheng's mistress, but her suspicions disappeared when she saw her husband at the photo shoot. Suli saw many employees from Suheng's management wearing the same Dior brand shoes as the previous woman, so for now Suli cannot confirm who her husband's affair is. A few days later it was shown that Suli was awarded as the best film writer in China. Her best friend named Chen Yingying as the host of the event gave her the trophy. After the award ceremony, Suli and Yingying ate together to celebrate Suli's success. After finishing eating together, Suli and Yingying met Mrs. Wang, the wife of Mr. Wu. From Mrs. Wang, Suli also knew that Mr. Wu was sick at home, so it was impossible to meet with other people. This also strengthened Suli's suspicion of her husband, who must have lied to her at breakfast. Suli also told Yingying especially about her suspicion of her husband, who was believed to have betrayed her. When she was at home, even though she was suspicious of her husband, Suli did not immediately scold or judge him. Instead, Suli continued to act casually so that she could find out in more detail who the person who was Suheng's affair, or the disturbing woman in her household, was. Then, when gathering with the closest people from Suheng, there was Suheng's manager named Zhao Wen and also Suheng's personal assistant named Wuanggang, and there were also Mr. Wu and Yingying. But while cooking Wuanggang permission to go home first, Suli and Suheng also let her go home. Shortly thereafter, Yingying also said goodbye to go home for a while to pick up her left-behind items. Suli, who was worried about her best friend, also told her husband to take Yingying, who without Suli realizing that Suheng's affair was her own best friend. All this is already known by the people closest to Suheng, who worked together to lie to Suli so as not to be suspicious, including Mr. Wu and also Zhao Wen, but without them knowing it. While eating together, Suli was suddenly sent a message by an unknown person and said that her husband's affair was at the same table with them. Although it is not certain, but after seeing the movements and gazes of the women who were previously at the dinner table, Suli is suspicious of her own friend or Yingying, so when meeting with her best friend, Suli said that if she managed to find out her husband's mistress, she would tear her apart and torture her before she died. Yingying was quite surprised to hear this angry statement from Suli, so when she met with Suheng, she also asked Suheng to be careful in acting, so that Suli, who had begun to suspect, did not realize that she was the mistress of Suheng. After that, Suli came to Suheng's management place. Initially she wanted to meet her husband, but Suheng's assistant Wuanggang said that Suheng was not here, so she invited Wuanggang to talk. Here Suli finally found out that the person who previously told her about her husband's affair was Wuanggang. Wuanggang did this because she couldn't bear it if Suli was always lied to by Suheng, who always pretended to love her. Even though Suheng actually had an affair, of course, as a fellow woman, Wuanggang knows very well the pain that Suli is now feeling. Suli tried to find more evidence of her husband's infidelity by checking Suheng's cell phone while in the shower. She was really hurt when she saw Suheng's messages with his mistress, which were really intimate, unlike when Suheng exchanged messages with her. Suli also cried remembering her togetherness with Suheng before, because what Suheng showed her was only a formality as a husband without any feelings of love for Suli. But Suli remained calm and acted casually in front of Suheng so that her husband would not realize that Suli already knew what she was doing, and Suli would take revenge for Suheng's betrayal, but slowly. After that they had dinner together, but it turned out that Suheng had secretly added sleeping pills to Suli's drink, so that Suli would sleep quickly and she could spend the night making out with Yingying. But Suli, who already knew Suheng's plan, quickly pretended to fall asleep, and when Suheng left, she spit out all the drinks in her mouth, and then she followed Suheng's car from behind. When they arrived at the bar, Suli was really hurt to see her husband making out with her best friend, and there was also Mr. Wu, who was having an affair with Zhao Wen. Suli's guesses and suspicions were proven about Suheng having an affair with her best friend. She cried for a while in a quiet place before finally getting rise up to take revenge. Suli did not accept that the person who had betrayed her feelings could live in peace, so when Suheng and Yingying went to the hotel, she followed them secretly. Even though her feelings were devastated to see the man she loved betrayed and had an affair with her own best friend, Yingying, Suli still tried to be strong and tough to see their forbidden love. Suli did not hit them directly. Instead, she reported Suheng and Yingying to the police, saying there was a prostitution transaction. Suli would still pretend not to know what really happened, to torment Suheng and Yingying from their careers in entertainment and so on. In the past, Suheng proposed to Suli very romantically, which made Suli fall in love and want to marry Suheng, without realizing that after 3 years they were married, It turned out that Soo-heng betrayed her, even her best friend Ying-ying also betrayed to become the third person in this household. After that, Soo-heng and Ying-ying were arrested for questioning at the police station. From inside her car, Suli secretly took pictures of this to tarnish the good name of her husband and best friend who had betrayed her. At the police station, Soo-heng and Ying-ying were released because they had nothing to do with prostitution transaction activities, because they stayed at the hotel based on their love for each other. Soo-heng was also able to calm down because the police would not spread his cheating case to the public, especially Soo-heng is a very popular actor for now, so if there is news about infidelity, it is certain that his career will be immediately destroyed. Meanwhile, Suli met her lawyer because she wanted to divorce her husband. Suli's lawyer advised her not to get divorced first, because if Suli divorced now, her property and assets could be divided in half with Soo-heng, and surely the one who benefited was Soo-heng. So Suli's lawyer advised Suli to transfer her money and assets first into her personal property, so that when she divorced, Soo-heng did not get anything. Suli also agreed to do so that when Suli was at home she acted casually like talking with Soo-heng, so that Soo-heng did not realize that actually Suli knew what was really going on. This charade Suli did so that her assets and property could be transferred in her own name. Suli also now often meets with Wu Engang, Soo-heng's assistant, because for now only Wu Engang can be trusted and share information about what Soo-heng is doing. Besides that, Suli also wants to take revenge slowly through social media by tarnishing Soo-heng's good image in the eyes of his fans. Then during the casting to find the lead actress in the drama, it turned out that Ying-ying also registered. Of course, this made Suli happy because with Ying-ying's participation she could immediately vent her anger under the pretext of the casting process. Suli finally accepted Ying-ying to become the lead actress in her drama, paired with Soo-heng who had betrayed and cheated on Ying-ying. Of course, all this was done so that their fans saw the closeness of Soo-heng and Ying-ying, so that it was easier for her to drop the popularity of the two together. Then Suli began asking journalists she knew to publish the photos she got when Soo-heng was cheating on Ying-ying at the hotel. For the initial threat, Suli camouflaged the photos on their faces. Of course, this news immediately broke out on social media, which made Soo-heng and Ying-ying start to panic when they saw it. Then Suli with an pseudonym phone number threatened them to give a ransom of 5 million won, otherwise their photos without blurring would be published. Soo-heng and Ying-ying panicked because they didn't have that much money to make up for it, but Soo-heng, who was afraid that this news would affect his career, immediately borrowed money from Suli, and of course Suli gave it to him because this was part of Suli's plan so that the money could become her personal property. Then Soo-heng made an appointment to put the money in the airport trash can. Soo-heng, who initially wanted to catch the threatener but he was unsuccessful, even the 5 million won money in the bag suddenly turned into paper as if the threatener realized that she was being watched all this time. It turns out that this is the ingenuity and method of Suli. She disguised herself as an airport entrance check officer before and switched Soo-heng's bag. Suli was also not alone because she was assisted by Wu Engang, Soo-heng's assistant, who is now a spy to leak all information about Soo-heng. The viral news showing Soo-heng's scandal with Ying-ying made their management panic. Zhao Wen tried to calm the director of the Suli drama starring Soo-heng and Ying-ying, because filming would not be carried out if this news had not subsided. This panic is of course known by Suli. By listening to all the conversations of Soo-heng and his friends over the phone Wu Engang, Suli did not stop there. She made things worse by going live Instagram and crying when she saw the news of her husband cheating on her with her own best friend. This certainly made the public even more blasphemous against Soo-heng. The charade that Suli played in order to avenge the betrayal was also running smoothly. Although Suli previously on social media cried, but when meeting with Soo-heng, Ying-ying and Zhao Wen, she pretended to believe her husband that the viral news was not true. Suli even said that she wanted to speak to the reporters by holding a press conference to convince the public that she believed in her husband, and what was on the internet was just slander. Then at the press conference, Soo-heng and Ying-ying should also be present to explain everything to the reporters about this misunderstanding. After that, it was shown that Mr. Wu was met by Wu Engang to discuss the cooperation contract between Mr. Wu's company and Wu Engang's boss, Soo-heng. Here Mr. Wu, who realized that there was a wrong writing in the contract, still signed it, because if there was a contract break in the middle of the road, the one who lost was Wu Engang as Soo-heng's assistant. Of course, this was used by Mr. Wu, who was blindfolded to threaten Wu Engang to accompany him to sleep overnight, otherwise Wu Engang was required to compensate. Of course Wu Engang was confused and frightened to hear the words of Mr. Wu. The next day a press conference was held by Suli. This is where Soo-heng and Ying-ying explained about the photos circulating on the internet. At this moment Suli also used it to humiliate Yingying by telling her to kneel before the reporters, to further convince the public that she felt guilty for this mess. In the evening, Wuang Gang tries to seduce her husband Muyan to make out, but Muyan has no appetite and chooses to leave. It seems that Muyan's relationship with Wuang Gang is not harmonious, as if there is a distance from this married couple. But suddenly Wuang Gang got a message from Mr. Wu, who told her to come to the location he sent. But Wuang Gang was also not stupid. She was not willing to serve Mr. Wu, so she asked Suli for advice on this matter. Suli also helped her by telling Mrs. Wang about her husband's behavior, so that when Mr. Wu was in the hotel room he did not meet Wuang Gang and instead met his own wife. Of course Mrs. Wang was furious knowing that her husband had betrayed her many times. After the viral news of the Suheng and Yingying scandal, Suli and Wuang Gang became even closer. They spent time together in their spare time. Suli also often bought jewelry for this confidant who was considered like her own sister. On the other side, Zhaowen was looking for the location of the person who had spread the scandalous photos of Suheng and Yingying, but she was again deceived by Suli, because when they arrived at the location they only got a dead cell phone, because previously the cell phone was indeed Suli thrown in the trash can, but because of this too, Suli had to be more careful in her steps, because if she let her guard down, maybe Suheng, Zhaowen and Yingying would realize that she was the one who had done all that. It is also known that almost all of Suli's money has been transferred by buying her private house abroad. This was discussed with her lawyer so that later when applying for divorce papers all Suli's valuables and assets are fully in her own name. She is not willing to share with Suheng because everything she has now is the result of her own hard work. Long story short, the drama written by Suli has been released and many fans are enthusiastic about watching. When Suli, Suheng and the people involved in this drama watch the premiere, it appears that Yingying is jealous of Suheng's closeness to Suli. This is deliberately done by Suli even though she is not willing to be close to Suheng so that Yingying feels jealous. Long story short, Suli, who knew Wuang Gang had to meet with Mr. Wu, then dressed Wuang Gang to look like a classy woman, including teaching her how to speak and negotiate properly. Wuang Gang also practiced it very well. Even Mr. Wu himself did not expect that the woman who was previously afraid of him was now much changed. Even her speech was intimidating so that he could not help but re-sign the contract that Wuang Gang had revised. Wuang Gang and Suli's relationship became closer. Even Suli also played at Wuang Gang's house to eat together. When Wuang Gang's husband was working, here Wuang Gang also told her about her household, which seemed hopeless because her husband was always ignorant when he was at home. In another place, Yingying, who wanted to cook, was nauseous as if she had a cold or was pregnant, and if she was really pregnant, it meant that her plan had succeeded so that Suheng would not dump her or even she could be with Suheng forever. Yingying also went to Suli's house to meet Suheng. Of course Suheng panicked because if Suli found out where Yingying was there and she couldn't make an excuse, Suli might go berserk. Without realizing that Suli actually knew about their affair all this time, then Suli, who returned after finishing shopping, saw Yingying in her house, did not show any suspicion at all, and continued to pretend as if she did not know anything about their relationship, and they even ate together. This is where Yingying said that she was pregnant, which suddenly made Suheng shocked, but he pretended to be happy so that Suli did not realize. Suli also pretended to be happy to hear it because she realized that if Yingying was pregnant it must be her husband's child. Then when driving Yingying home, Suheng was upset to find out that Yingying was pregnant. He was afraid that if reporters knew this news again, his career would be ruined, but he also couldn't do much other than take responsibility for his actions. The next day, Suli, who wanted to go shopping, was given Suheng's debit card to shop, which of course this is what Suli wanted because she could spend all of Suheng's money so that Suheng had no more rights in the items she bought. Meanwhile Suheng went to Yingying's apartment to make out again. They are more careful now in a romantic relationship because if someone takes a photo again, their careers will be destroyed. Suli did not shop for herself but also bought Wuang Gang jewelry to be more beautiful when going to the party. Wuang Gang came to her husband's event, who was having a meal with several potential business partners. Wuang Gang was so beautiful that everyone was fascinated to see her, including Muyan, who had never seen his wife dressed up before. But suddenly when Muyan got the news that there was a partner who had a problem, Muyan was immediately angry. Even he vented by slapping Wuang Gang. Of course Wuang Gang was very sad and did not expect her husband to slap her when she was not wrong. In another place, Suli and Suheng came to an auction event. Here Suli won the auction of a large diamond at a fairly expensive price, and she did this to transfer some of the joint savings to her personal account. so that when divorced, Su-heng did not have valuables and other assets. Elsewhere, Wuang Gang felt sad again when she remembered her husband's treatment during her marriage, especially the few days ago her husband slapped her while eating together, making Wuang Gang think of divorce. The next day showed Suli eating with Wuang Gang, while talking about the continuation of Suli's plan to divorce Su-heng. While at home, Su-heng broke into Suli's safe and took all her jewelry to sell with the help of Yingying. They both believed that Suli's jewelry was expensive, but it turned out that all the jewelry was fake. Of course they were upset to know this because it turned out that Suli already knew that Su-heng was deliberately seducing her, so Suli also faked her jewelry so that Su-heng was deceived and considered stealing her jewelry. Suli was no longer acting and spoke bluntly that she already knew about Su-heng's affair with Yingying. She would report Su-heng's theft to the police if he did not want to compensate. Of course, Su-heng was very angry at Suli's words, but he also could not do much other than compensate for the previous theft. In another place, it was shown that Wuang Gang was having trouble carrying goods, so she was helped by her neighbor named Zhang. Zhang is very attentive, but he also knows the limits, so that when he knows Wang Gang already has a husband, Zhang does not intend to approach her and behaves more like a friend. Meanwhile, at Yingying apartment, Su-heng is stressed thinking about the amount of money he has to pay to Suli, because his savings are very small. Inevitably he has to look for additional money. Then Muyan, who saw his wife close to Zhang, felt upset and jealous, even though all this time he didn't care about Wuang Gang. While elsewhere, Suli was seen checking her health. The doctor told her that Suli was now pregnant, and now the age of her pregnancy was more than 1 month. Meanwhile, Su-heng is now filming as a supporting actor in order to earn money to compensate for Suli's money losses. Su-heng is no longer the main actor after parting with Suli, because previously Su-heng was able to be popular thanks to the help of Suli, who gave many connections, but due to infidelity now Su-heng's career is slowly destroyed. Then Wuang Gang is shown accompanying Suli shopping at the mall. Suli also talks about herself, who is currently pregnant with Su-heng's child and intends to abort it, because she still cannot accept that she will give birth to the child of a traitor. While Suli and Wuang Gang were in the hospital, Su-heng was seen packing up his belongings to move to Yingying's apartment. Here he found a flash drive on Suli's desk containing the files of her movie script. The next day, Su-heng returned to filming the movie as a co-star. Of course, he was also accompanied by Wuang Gang, who was still his assistant. Then when he wanted to put his manager's bag, Su-heng saw his wage file and also the wages of the lead actor of this film, who was in the same management with him, which turned out to be the wages of the lead actor whose skills were bad, much more expensive than him, so Su-heng also intended to report this to the management boss and also the reporters. When in the car Su-heng met Yingying, Su-heng also said that he would try to negotiate with Suli to share her property and assets, otherwise the film script file would be distributed. So surely Suli had no other choice because she would lose, but when Su-heng got out of the car, Wuang Gang secretly sneaked into the car to steal the flash drive. The next day, social media was made a scene over the news about the main actor's wages being very large, even though it was not comparable to his skills and experience. This also made the management boss furious at the actor and also Zhaowen, who was his manager. In a different place, Wuang Gang returned the flash disk she got from Su-heng to Suli, but it turned out that the flash disk was empty because Su-heng already knew that Wuang Gang was working with Suli, so he faked the flash disk. This time Suli couldn't help but accept all of Su-heng's requests so that her secret files would be safe. Even so, Suli still told Su-heng that she was pregnant with his child, but Suli did not hold Su-heng accountable and would still continue with their divorce proceedings. Su-heng was quite surprised to hear it. He didn't ask for much other than the division of assets that were currently in the name of the two of them. Suli agreed. She also emphasized that from now on Wuang Gang had become her assistant. Su-heng continues to think about the child currently conceived by Suli. This is also realized by Yingying, who makes her jealous because Su-heng feels guilty for not being responsible for Suli's pregnancy. Elsewhere, Wuang Gang, who is fed up with her husband's attitude, who is always ignorant, finally asks for a divorce. She can't stand the household situation. Muyan agrees and signs the divorce papers because Muyan is also tired of being married to Wuang Gang. Wuang Gang continued to cry when Muyan left. Honestly, she still loved the man, but maybe this was the best way for both of them. The next day, Zhaowen came to Yingying's apartment. She, who already knew about Suli's pregnancy, warned Su-heng and Yingying not to let Suli's child be born, because Suli could use her child to bring down Su-heng's name again, and if that happened, Su-heng's career in entertainment was certainly over. After that, Su-heng came back to Suli's house to persuade her not to divorce, because Suli wanted a father when their child was born, but Suli refused because she also intended to abort their child. Hearing Suli's words made Su-heng and Ying-ying feel happy, because then Su-heng's career could continue in the entertainment world. That night, Suli, who had learned that Wuangang was divorced, comforted her by taking Wuangang for a walk and asking her to stay at Suli's house. The next day, Suli accompanied by Wuangang came to the hospital for an abortion sugary, but suddenly Suli changed her mind after seeing a mother struggling so that her child could live. A sense of happiness instantly enveloped Suli so that she cancelled her child. It turned out that Su-heng and Ying-ying also came to the hospital. Those who knew Suli did not abort the child were certainly upset and angry with Suli. After that, Suli accompanied by Wuangang began shopping for baby supplies. Even Suli had also ordered the best school even though the womb was not yet 3 months old. Suli was really looking forward to the birth of her first child. She was very happy and wanted to raise her alone. When at home, Wuangang began to dress up and Muyan, who happened to come to pick up the goods that were left behind, was immediately fascinated, as if regretting having divorced his ex-wife, especially after knowing that now Wuangang has a super rich friend, Suli. Of course Muyan was trying to invite Wuangang to reconcile again. In the apartment, Su-heng was seen sick because he kept thinking about his declining career. Ying-ying faithfully continued to take care of Su-en with great care, but here Ying-ying was also jealous when Su-heng kept mentioning Suli's name. Ying-ying, who did not accept, then invited Suli to meet. They argued because Ying-ying asked Suli to abort her pregnancy, while Suli did not want to. This also made Ying-ying angry and pushed Suli to fall from the cafe stairs. Suli had to be hospitalized. Wuangang was told by the doctor about Suli's condition. It turned out that although Suli was not seriously injured, the baby in her womb had to miscarry. Suli, who knew this, was certainly very sad. She was very happy because she wanted to raise her child, but now she was miscarrying because of Ying-ying's actions. Her anger was burning again to take revenge for Ying-ying's actions, and she was sure that Su-heng was also involved. In Ying-ying's apartment was given a bank card to shop because Su-heng's salary would be transferred. On the other hand, Suli was in a slump looking at the items she had prepared for her future child, but now it was in vain because she had miscarried. The next day Suli met Zhaowen, the manager of Su-heng, and also Ying-ying. Suli threatened Zhaowen to stop all Su-heng's work from today onwards, including terminating his contract in management. If Zhaowen did not do it, Suli would expose Zhaowen's crimes that had corrupted a lot of money from management and also secretly cooperated with other management. Because of this, Zhaowen could not do much other than obey the words of Suli. Shortly thereafter, Ying-ying said to Su-heng that his bank card could not be used because Su-heng's salary was not disbursed. Even Su-heng was also dismissed from filming and advertising photos. This even made Su-heng angry at his management, but because Su-heng is just an actor, he can't do much. Even he also has to be sincere when the management boss terminates their cooperation contract. Su-heng finally found out from Zhaowen that all this was the work of Suli. Su-heng's career was really over. He was angry and then approached Suli at the location of the drama performance. Not only that, because he was provoked by Suli's words, Su-heng finally hit Suli until she fell and was injured. And it turned out that this was seen directly by people who were in the audience, which of course made Su-heng unable to do anything, because many witnesses saw him commit violence against Suli, so he had to be in prison for the next few days. At Wuangang's house, again visited by Muyan. This time Muyan pretended to be good to Wuangang by saving her from a falling flower vase, and this made Wuangang melt and open her heart to reconcile with Muyan. The next day the reporters were excited by the news of Su-heng having an affair with Suli's best friend. Even Su-heng also hit Suli on the drama stage. Suli really showed her sad face in front of the reporters, which made everyone believe the words of Suli. But Ying-ying, who saw this news, became even more hateful to Suli, because she did not expect that Suli could be this cruel person, as if she had two personalities: to be gentle in front of reporters but cruel when taking revenge on people who had betrayed her, as evidenced by Su-heng, who is now languishing in prison. Ying-ying is also not free from the excitement of this news. She is always bullied when she is in public for having an affair with her best friend's husband. She is really not strong enough to face this pressure, until when the apartment neighbors visit to see Ying-ying in the bathroom tub with a wounded hand. The next day Ying-ying brought reporters intending to corner Suli, who made her almost died yesterday. But Suli was not stupid. She immediately unmasked Ying-ying, who pretended to be injured when in fact it was okay. On the other hand, Wuangang, who had just returned from work, saw her husband being beaten by debt collectors to collect debts. The debt collectors finally left after Muyan promised to pay the debt. Wuangang also approached her battered husband. When she was at home, Wuangang continued to think about Muyan's condition. It was discovered that all Muyan's businesses had gone bankrupt and there were still debts to loan sharks that were very large. In another place, Suli restores her belongings that have been prepared for her future child, who has now died due to miscarriage. Suli will forget everything that has happened in the past to reorganize her future, including in terms of romance. The next day before leaving for work, Wuanggang gave her savings bank card to Muyan to pay off his debt. Even though it was not much, she would try to find more money to help her husband. After that, it is shown Suli and Wuanggang meet their prospective client, who is quite influential, named Mr. Chen. Suli chats about cooperation with Mr. Chen alone because Wuanggang has to finish other business. Mr. Chen actually wants to cooperate with Suli, but Mr. Chen has a request, namely that he wants to date Suli's assistant because he is quite interested in Wuanggang since they met earlier, but Suli does not want to fulfill Mr. Chen's request and prefers to postpone this cooperation. Before leaving Mr. Chen's office, Wuanggang missed her cell phone, so Suli left first. While when Wuanggang was picking up her cell phone in the waiting room, Mr. Chen suddenly approached. There Mr. Chen vilified Suli in front of Wuanggang as if to lead Wuanggang not to trust Suli anymore. Even he also offered Wuanggang cooperation so that Wuanggang could earn extra money. Of course, hearing this, Wuanggang was quite interested because she currently needed a lot of money to help Muyan pay off his debt. A few days later, Suli, who was at the cafe, saw a young man named Wade who called the writer of the movie he was watching a diatribe. Suli was quite upset and embarrassed to hear the diatribe from Wade earlier. At the office, Suli, who knew that Wuanggang had reconciled with her husband, advised Wuanggang not to be easily deceived by her husband again, because Suli realized that Muyan was only using Wuanggang, because now Wuanggang had an income, but Wuanggang did not respond to Suli's words because she was too in love with Muyan. That night when Suli was drunk again met Wade. Even Wade also helped her walk to the house. It turned out that Wade had previously berated Suli so that Suli could get acquainted, and this proved successful. In another place, Muyan was again visited by debt collectors who wanted to collect debts. Muyan, who had no more money, then said that his wife's best friend, Suli, wanted to help him, so the debt collectors met Suli in her office. They collected Muyan's debt, but of course Suli did not want to give money because she had nothing to do with Muyan. She even demonized Muyan, who dared to use her even though Suli was his wife's boss by rank. Suli's words were heard by Wuanggang from a distance, and this made the relationship between Suli and Wuanggang even more tenuous, because previously Wuanggang had been instigated by Mr. Chen's words that demonized Suli. Sure enough, the bad side of Wuanggang finally came out. She started meeting several Suli clients to work with without Suli's knowledge. Of course, this way she got extra money to help her husband, who was almost dead because of debt, but even so Wuanggang always behaved well as usual in front of Suli so as not to be suspected. The next night at Suli's house again encountered Wade, who really intended to approach Suli. In fact, he deliberately came to visit tonight to accompany Suli. He knew for sure Suli was lonely without a friend or boyfriend in her life at this time. Wade also hopes that Suli can quickly let go of her dark past, and open her heart again to a new man who wants to be her life companion, who is none other than Wade. Elsewhere, Wuanggang again gave money to her husband to quickly pay off his debts. The money Wuanggang got by cheating using Suli's name to seduce clients to cooperate secretly without Suli's knowledge. Suli almost always meets Wade every day. For some reason it seems that this Wade follows Suli wherever Suli is, although Suli is actually quite interested in Wade. Even Wade also deliberately applied to work at Suli's company to become Suli's assistant, just like Wuanggang. The difference is that now Wuanggang can take care of her own clients to work together, and Wuanggang uses this advantage to earn extra money outside of her salary without Suli's knowledge. Without Wuanggang realizing that the money she gave to her husband was not used to pay debts but to play online gambling, Muyan is really an ungrateful man, using sincere women for his personal pleasure. In another place, Suli, who lives alone at home, is terrorized by mysterious people, and it turns out that this is all the work of her ex-husband, who is now out of prison and wants revenge on Suli for putting him in prison and losing all his careers. Yingying is also known not to live in the apartment anymore. Not only that, Suheng also met Wuanggang. He told Wuanggang to borrow money from Suli or embezzle her money in order to build a business. He promised to return it within 1 week, and Wuanggang was forced to comply with Suheng's request, so that her secret was safe regarding cooperation with other parties without Suli's knowledge. A few days later, Suli began to be suspicious of Wuanggang because there was a list of several actors who had not received salaries in her management. This made Wuanggang panic and look for Suheng's whereabouts to collect the money. But Suheng said that he was cheated by his client and now all the money from Wuanggang was gone, so Suheng could not return the money. Suheng instead invited Wuangang to work together to steal Suli's private safe, and Wuangang agreed. The important thing was that she could be free from her mistakes, and when Suheng was breaking into the safe, Wuangang and Suli recorded it. It turned out that Wuangang had already explained everything to Suli and Suli forgave her. Of course now Suheng was cornered again, but when Suheng ran away suddenly there was a bang which turned out to be Suheng being hit by a car. Of course Suli, who could not bear to immediately take him to the hospital, even though Suheng had betrayed her, but Suli still had a human conscience. Then at the office Suli will work with the very famous director Lee. She invited Wade to accompany her and Wuangang was not invited. Wade was amazed at Suli's beauty. Then when they met director Lee they discussed cooperation about Suli's writing which would be filmed. Suli really hopes that this collaboration will be successful because director Lee is one of the best film directors today. After the meeting Suli was invited by Wade to eat noodles at a simple stall he subscribed to. In another place, Wuangang confided in her husband because she felt discarded by Suli, because she did not invite her to come to meet director Lee and instead invited Wade. Nguyen also instigated Wuangang to take Suli's money in various ways, after which they moved to live and started a new life. Wuangang was instigated and would do what Nguyen told him. Meanwhile Suli and Wade returned home on foot. It seems that Wade's attentive attitude made Suli fall in love, and it seems that Wade really managed to melt the beautiful, wealthy woman. The next day when going to meet director Lee, Suli accidentally saw Wuangang, who got into a luxury car while carrying a file. Suli was suspicious but she didn't think much about it. Then Suli, accompanied by Wade and Wuangang, presented the script in front of director Lee, but Lee did not want to continue working together anymore because it turned out that the script that Suli presented was similar to the script of Lee's other clients.
这是我的原创事情吧。
Director Lee hates plagiarism so much that he doesn't want to work with Suli anymore. Of course Suli was quite surprised to find out because this is indeed the original script of her own work, and if there really is another company that has the same script, it means that there is an intruder in the company and the intruder must be someone close to Suli. Although previously Suli was suspicious of Wuangang, but she was sure that it was definitely not Wuangang who did it, because Wuangang could not have betrayed her. It turns out that the one who did this was Wade, who duplicated all of Suli's manuscripts on Yingying's orders to take revenge by approaching Suli to trust her. And for the last task Wade was told to take an intimate photo with Suli so that she could slander Suli by telling reporters that Suli had an affair first before her husband cheated on with Yingying. Of course if this really happened, Suli's career as a writer would also be threatened. Then while in the office, Suli accidentally bumped into Wade so that the file that Suli was holding fell and was seen by Wade. It turned out that Suli was investigating the intruder who had duplicated the script. Of course Wade was quite surprised to hear it because he was confused that if Suli really knew the culprit, Suli would not forgive him, because honestly he was in love with Suli and felt that he could not bear to do this. Meanwhile, it appears that Wuangang is explaining to Mr. Chen about Suli's failed cooperation with director Lee, because it turns out that Wuangang attracted brand sponsors through Mr. Chan to support the film that Suli was going to make without Suli's knowledge. Of course because this project failed, Wuangang also lost and was required to return the advance cooperation with Mr. Chen beforehand. This made Wuangang really confused. That night Wade was called by Suli to pick her up at the bar. Suli was already drunk and with great care Wade drove her back home. When Suli fell asleep Wade thought of Yingying's order telling him to take an intimate photo with Suli, and this was the best opportunity to complete the task. The next day Wade gave the intimate photos to Yingying. She immediately published them, which made Suli's news viral. Many journalists met her to find the truth of the viral news. Even Yingying also appeared before reporters and led an opinion about Suli, who cheated on her before her with Suli's ex-husband. But it turned out that all the photos were fake because last night Wade did not take a photo with Suli, and instead Suli realized Wade's actions ordered by Yingying, so Suli continued to take photos with Wade, but with the help of a photographer, so that it was like a photo shoot session so that all the people who were led by Yingying's words would attack back for slandering Suli. Yingying was really angry after learning about this and she even intended to hurt Suli. Fortunately Wade, who was there, immediately protected Suli so that he suffered a wound on his back. Long story short, when Wade was hospitalized, he received information from the nurse if there was a woman who had been sitting in the waiting room, and when Wade met the woman it turned out to be Suli. Although still angry with Wade for previously lying to her, Suli also appreciates Wade for saving her to be injured like this. Suli also knows Wade sincerely loves her, but she also needs time to accept all this. On the one hand, now Yingying is in prison for harming Wade, while Wuangang is again instigated by her husband to ask Suli for a lot of money to be able to start a new life with Nguyen by moving out of town. Wu Wangang is increasingly instigated by Muyun's words and will do it immediately. The next day Wu Wangang was ready to go to work. Muyun was also ready to pack up his things because his intention was that tonight they would go out of town after Wu Wangang got money from Suli. In another place, Suli was surprised to see Wade, who was already working even though he had just recovered from injury. Suli was impressed to see Wade's caring attitude, and indeed this was Wade's true nature without anyone behind him. After that it appeared that Wu Wangang asked Suli to give money to pay their actors for 1 million won. Suli realized that there was something strange about her best friend's words, but even so she still gave 1 million won to Wu Wangang. In the afternoon, Wu Wangang immediately took the 1 million won that had been prepared by the bank. Elsewhere Suli calmed her mind, which was quite frantic, and suddenly Wade came to comfort Suli with the hope that Suli would give him another chance to be her lover in the future. Although initially hesitant, but in the end Suli was willing to open her heart again for Wade, who really sincerely loved her. Meanwhile at the train station, Wu Wangang gave all the money she got to Muyun. They were also preparing to leave this city, but Muyun betrayed Wu Wangang again. He left Wu Wangang alone at the train station. Wu Wangang really felt guilty about Suli, who had considered her as her own family, but she lied for the sake of the man who always betrayed her love. Wu Wangang was confused about what to do after Muyun left her, but suddenly Suli appeared when Wu Wangang was in sadness. Wu Wangang immediately cried in Suli's arms. She really apologized for her mistake that had been instigated by Muyun. Wu Wangang also promised to return the money in installments gradually to Suli. Suli didn't mind it anymore, and she actually comforted Wu Wangang by going to take a hot bath with her. Calming the mind that must be very chaotic at this time, she realized that Wu Wangang had been struggling alone in all the challenges of this life. After thinking for a long time, Wu Wangang chose to resign from Suli's company to make amends, but Suli refused because then how could Wu Wangang pay off her debts? Suli finally made a decision to write off all of Wu Wanggang's debts as long as she did not leave the company, and would increase Wu Wanggang's salary, free monthly meal expenses, and provide a private vehicle for Wu Wangang, which made Wu Wangang feel moved and shed tears. After that, Suli met Suheng at the hospital, where Suheng regretted and apologized for having an affair with Suli's best friend, even though he already had a beautiful wife, loyal and very supportive of his career. Suli also forgave him. The most important thing now is that they start a new life happily and don't greet each other if they meet in other places. Suheng also agreed because after recovering he planned to leave the city and start a new life somewhere else. Arriving at the office, Suli was told by her employee if Wade had not worked from 2 days ago. Wu Wangang then gave information if Wade sent a letter of resignation due to illness. Suli, who was worried, then visited Wade to his apartment, and while caring for Wade accidentally Suli saw a message that entered Wade's cell phone. It turned out that Wade was lying. He was not sick but studying again so he could become a great writer like Suli, and when he graduated from college he would apply for a job back at Suli's office as an assistant. But Suli, who had often been deceived and betrayed by many people, became very disappointed. She didn't care about any reason and immediately left Wade's apartment. Long story short, New Year's Eve arrived. Suli invited all her employees to celebrate together, but Wu Wangang could not come because she had to go home while other employees were busy with their respective boyfriends and families. Suli, who was lonely, then recalled her beautiful memories when she was with Wade. That night she spent time walking around alone, but soon Wade appeared in front of Suli. Wade apologized and promised not to lie or betray Suli again. Suli also forgave Wade and they enjoyed the turn of the year together with great joy. At the end of the story, Suli met Yingying, who had just been released from prison. There Suli brought a bank card and a letter from Suheng which contained an apology for destroying Yingying's life and plunging her into many problems. Suheng asked Yingying to open a new page of life and get happiness. After that, as a memento, Suli gave Yingying new shoes. The three of them have now forgiven each other and decided to separate to continue their respective lives. And this drama was the end.